Hey everybody, thought I'd come on here and show you guys what I've been up to the last couple of months. I have really been just focused on rest and doing little projects here and there to, try to brighten the mood, brighten my spirits here during these dark winter months. One of those projects has been putting together this little shelving area for my house plants. Not that I have that many. It's kind of new territory for me, actually, to have several house plants. This spider plant here, a Cuban oregano, Boston fern, they all seem to thrive with some pretty good light. So they're right next to a south-facing window, so they get quite a bit of sunlight. This Cuban oregano, it just smells amazing. I would highly suggest picking some of that up at your local nursery. I just got a little starter plant under $10, but this grows really well, and it grows really well outside. So the only experience that I have with Cuban oregano is outside in planters, but it also can be a great house plant. I have a spider plant up here, of course. Then, of course, if you've been following me on my Instagram page, you know all about my begonia drama. It seemed to be on its last leg, but it is doing pretty well under a cloche or a dome because that's supposed to trap in humidity. So I'm really excited. I got this shelving unit discount, $60. I did have to put it together myself. I got this actually at Hobby Lobby. So I would suggest just trying to hit up the clearance area and see if they have any furniture or anything like that on sale. And what I really liked about this one is that it has these pieces of wood in the back, so that helps to prevent things from falling over. But what my focus is really turned to right now, of course, is seed starting. And I wanted to make sure I got in on the winter sowing experience. So putting those seeds in a container outside where they're eventually going to be transplanted into the landscape. I wanted to get in while that window was still open. So I'm shooting this almost at Valentine's Day. So mid-February, I think as long as you do that before March, put your winter sowing seeds out, I think you'll still be pretty safe with that. My setup in my kitchen here for winter sowing, which I'm going to get to today. I've got my containers for my different seed selection that I have, and I'm just going to fill these up with potting mix and top with a little bit of vermiculite. I did want to do an honorable mention of some seeds that I love. I love Bachelor Button. I think this is so easy to grow from seed. Pretty reliable in terms of getting nice seedlings out of that. Right now would be a little early to be starting Bachelor Button. I would hold off until, honestly, March. Yeah, I would hold off until March to start that, and maybe even late March. Candy Tuft, absolutely love this. This is more of a Mediterranean type of flower, so it thrives in sandier soil. This says you can sow your seed indoor 4 to 6 weeks before planting. And it is a full sun, well-draining soil type of flower. But it is so pretty. I just absolutely love those bloom heads there. Aren't those really pretty? They're almost like an umbrella of flowers. They're just gorgeous. And then here is where the real magic happens. I have all my seed packets organized by winter sow flowers. Flower seeds that I'm starting indoors in trays right around this time of year. Some of these are more like 4 to 6 or 4 to 8 weeks, the Snapdragon and Bachelor Button. So I'm going to hold off, like I said, on the Bachelor Button especially, even though I'm so excited to get going. I can. Canterbury Bells, Verbena, and Sweet Pea, I can start all of these indoors. The Sweet Pea the seed needs to be soaked for 24 hours, and I'll have to make sure that the other seeds don't require a period of cold. Mostly the things that require a period of cold, I am doing the winter sow method. So things like lupin, Bells of Ireland needs cold for 1 to 2 weeks. So that's definitely one that you can winter sow outside. And then lavender, I haven't had great luck with lavender. I've gotten it to germinate, and I've gotten a little seedling, but I haven't been able to keep the seedling alive. That's been my past experience with lavender. So I don't know if it's a certain, type of variety of lavender. This is the Munstead variety. Of course, there's English lavender as well. So we'll have to see, trial and error, which one is going to work in our area best. And then I'll also have some seeds that I've organized here, my vegetable and herb seeds. that are cool season. Things like dill, parsley. I do have a pepper in here. I'm going to start that indoors though. It says 6 to 8 weeks. But broccoli, Swiss chard, and lettuce. So this is my little collection of 2026 seeds that I'm going to start outdoors in the milk jugs and then also in containers indoors under the grow lights. So I'm really excited this year to get started. It has taken me a while, I feel like, to do all this organizing of the seed packets, but I finally found some time this Saturday morning to do it. I do need to get more delphinium seed because I realized that I am out. These lavender and bells of Ireland, these actually need light. So you want to make sure that you pre-moisten your soil. So just get it wet beforehand, the potting soil mix that's in your milk jug, because you do not want to, put these a quarter or halfway down inch in the soil. You do want to leave these on top because they need light to germinate. So I'm using a combo this year of winter sow and indoor seed. I've been telling you guys. But yeah, I have my drainage holes in the bottom, very important. I have my just regular old potting mix that I have pre-moistened. And if you wanted to put a little bit of vermiculite in there, especially because of the lavender, that may be a good way to go because that's just going to add some drainage. Also putting rocks here at the bottom would be smart. I skipped that step, but it just occurred to me that you could do that to kind of weigh this down because you don't want the wind or storms knocking this over, especially because you need these seeds on top to be able to get that light. Bells of Ireland are so pretty. Look at that. That's nice in arrangements. I think that's what I'm going to work with. I'm going to save the rest that's in the packet. But here you can see the size. Take this and kind of scatter them on top on half of the soil. And again, don't mess with them. Don't tamper with them once they're in there. And then the lavender seeds I'm going to put on the other side of the milk jug. Now I have had some luck with germinating, getting a little seedling going for lavender, but not super great look. Okay, these are very tiny seeds. These are teeny tiny. I think I got way too many out. I think I'm going to go with a healthy little number here because they are so high maintenance and tricky. That's what the lavender looks like. So I'm just going to open this up. Kind of put those on top here. And let's hope with all this valuable real estate of this winter sowing container that we actually have some success. Your next step is to just seal this up. I cannot find my duct tape. So I'm going to go with the sticky stuff off a lint roller. I don't know how this is going to work, guys, but you can always go back in once you get your duct tape and re-tape it. But this is sticky. I think it might do the trick. Let's see how it goes. Because the idea is you just, you want to keep critters out of it, of course. But you do want to keep the top here open. So you do not want to put the cap. Ooh, I should not have done that. I moved my seeds around. I just broke my own rule. Don't want to move the seeds around. Let's get them on top. And, I try to not use ChatGPT a whole lot, but in cases like this where I don't want to go through the trouble of a Google search and all the added noise that can bring with it, sometimes it's just good to be able to, do it the easy way, the quick way, I should say. Maybe not easy, but quick. In this winter sow container, I've got some vermiculite mixed in here. This is lupin, and those did have to be buried. And then my other one, I have, what is that? Cosmos, and this is already sealed. And columbine seeds. This bed I've kept completely clear of plantings because it's like my little winter sow corner. So I believe that these jugs will be sheltered. I wanted to get these out here as soon as possible. I really don't want to cut it too close getting into March because I don't want to miss that winter sow window, that opportunity But this is my bed. I've got other stuff planted here. Obviously, I need to put some mulch over the top of that plastic border thing, whatever it's called. But anyway, I'm going to have some nice veggies going, some flowers. It's always so good when you're getting closer to April and May to just have something on deck ready to put out. It just makes you feel productive, like you weren't just sitting around all winter. And it helps, I think, get through the depth of winter, which we're in right now. I can't believe, though, it is February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day, and we're in the 50s. We're going to be almost in the 60s this coming week. But we're going to drop back down into 30s and 40s, which is what you want when you're doing this winter sow method. If it were to stay in the 50s, well, I guess we'd just be in spring, right? Which, hey, I wouldn't be complaining. At that point, I would just be putting seeds out in the actual beds and just, letting nature take her course. But this is what we're going to do because we know that this is not going to last, these 50s and 60s. The reason that I am doing the winter sow method is because I'm still within that window where it's acceptable to try to start winter sowing. Really don't want to get past March from what I understand here in our zone of 6B. I did do a little bit of winter sowing last year, and I did have some germination success with the seeds of Bachelor Button, which I feel is like foolproof. It is my go-to flower for either indoor or outdoor sowing. It is just so reliable. And then also Shasta Daisy, which is a perennial native to our area here in northern Kentucky, and that is a really, really good grower. Now that one has a tendency of getting a little too aggressive, if you will. So I'm definitely going to be dividing, I believe, some Shasta Daisy in the coming years. But it is nice to see, those green leaves when everything else is brown. Those green leaves, they have stayed that way. It's amazing to me all winter long. So I really like that flower. And so the reason I'm going with the flowers that I'm going with this year, I've done research about how to have that more cottage garden look. So that's really what I'm after. I don't have a ton of space to garden with. I mean, I have garden beds on every side of my house. I've even extended some of my garden beds that are south facing. So I've got, a little bit more option to work with than maybe the average person. But yeah, I mean, I really do have to kind of pick and choose the plants, the perennials, I should say, that I'm putting in the ground. Now, there is some space for annuals, which of course I'm going to start some of those from seed this year as well. One of the seed packets I wanted to bring everybody's attention to, because I thought maybe I could winter sow this, but I can't, is coleus. I love coleus so much, and I love having coleus early in the spring and in the fall, because in the fall, when the coleus blooms, the hummingbirds really like it. So I have definitely seen increased hummingbird activity with coleus blooms, because they're those long spires, and red is a color that hummingbirds are particularly attracted to, and purple. I believe most coleus I've had in the past has been a purple color, but I've had some good results with that. So just make sure that you check the back of the package, because a lot of times that'll tell you whether or not you can start this from seed indoors. This specifically says you can start seed from indoors 6 to 8 weeks. But I do believe I looked up, can you winter sow coleus? And it said you could not. So it does not necessarily like that cold period for its seeds. But, I feel like winter sowing is great because you really are acclimating from the outset. You're acclimating that seed and that seedling to its outdoor environment where it's eventually going to be planted. So you're getting the closest to Mother Nature, you can. Just make sure when it starts to warm up in the spring, make sure that your seedlings don't dry out. Maybe you hit a dry patch and you're not getting as much rainwater. Make sure you check to see that. But yeah, I would say if you are motivated to start winter sowing, don't think it's too late. You are still good to go. You can still do it right now. And I know we're kind of in a warm period this week, but of course that's going to change and we're going to get back to cooler weather. I wanted to bring everybody's attention to this Prairie Moon Nursery. They're great for native seeds, and this is the catalog I received in the mail, and I ordered some seeds from them, some asters and things, but they have a lot of good information in here, a lot of great suggestions about how to achieve a native garden, different types of seeds that are available, and they're really not a bad price. You've got milkweed in here. A lot of people like having milkweed in their garden because of the attraction there to the monarch butterflies. Also things like coneflower, that's super popular. Obedient plant, I was happy to see this because this is another one that can get a little aggressive, but it's really great. The bees love it, this purple one right here, and it's very easy to propagate. I've never grown it from seed. Now, I understand that native seeds can be a little bit more finicky when it comes to germination rates. Definitely good to winter sow these types of seeds. And I do like that they give so much information. They have like this coding system. When you order online, it will tell you, depending on like a letter, if it needs cold stratification, which means, weeks in the refrigerator. You can achieve that just the same concept as you would with a winter sow. So, well, I know I haven't been on here in a while, but I wanted to finally make a video now that we are right at Valentine's Day, mid-February. Things are starting to pick up a little bit in the garden after a nice restful period where things were pretty quiet, to be honest, which is why I haven't made a video in a little bit, because I didn't really have much to have a video about, really. And so I am happy to show you guys my strategy and how I'm going to do my seeds this year, because last year I started a bunch of things from seed indoors and it was a great experience. I think it really helped to make the winter time go by faster, and it helped to get spring kind of, get me excited about spring. And then when spring was finally here, it was great to have plants to put out in my landscape and not have to rely on buying nursery grown plants to bulk things up, because that can be expensive, as you're aware. I mean, a packet of seeds is $1 something, if you get them at the right time, whereas a more mature plant at the nursery in spring, it's definitely going to set you back at least $30 for a lot of those. I don't see many plugs, many smaller plant starts, unless you go to maybe one of the big box stores, and then you can luck out with that. But for the most part, your local nursery is going to have those more mature plants. And of course, it's great to support them. But if you are doing things on a budget, definitely consider starting things from seed right about now, and especially going into March in our Zone 6B. You are not too late at all. You even have time to go get your supplies if you're starting from scratch. If you need a rack, if you need shop lights, if you need seed trays, whatever you need, potting mix, all that good stuff. Even if you need to order your seeds, you still have time to do that. So I know last year I was starting seeds in mid-January. That was early. That was really early, because some of the easier to grow from seed plants like bachelor button, those flowers, I was really concerned about them as we started getting into April. I was like, these things need to be out in the landscape. So I planted those really early, which was fine for them, and they thrived. But you are right on the money in terms of timing. Please drop a note in the comment section below. Let me know what you're planning to start, whether indoors or outdoors, with this winter sow method. If you've done either one of these in the past, let me know the ins and the outs, the pitfalls, the success stories. You put weeks, in some cases months of hard work in, and you want to see things that are going to be successful for sure. There's always going to be a little bit of trial and error involved in this. I hope to get another video out next week, just kind of discussing seeds in general. I did a seed video like that last year, and I would like to do it this year as well, because definitely have some new perennials as well as annuals that I have added into the rotation. So my seed collection is really bulked up, and I think there's going to be, hopefully a lot of variation in my garden in the next coming years. So definitely stay tuned for that, and be sure to like, subscribe, and until next time.